In fact, NASA is supposed to release high-resolution images of this object when it gets very close to Mars on October 3rd. First, NASA has broken their silence. They will release images of 3I-ATLAS on Wednesday via livestream. So, they put up the livestream page. It will start at 12 p.m. Pacific Time on November 19th. And based on what you're describing, this could soon be the biggest story in the world. Literally the biggest story in the universe. And so Suddy's sudden X post caught everyone by surprise. They informed their followers that NASA would be sharing new spacecraft and telescope images of 3I-ATLAS on November 19th. Images collected not from a single observatory but from multiple spacecraft and powerful telescopes across the solar system. NASA rarely holds a single event for A and said he rarely highlights one unless the data is truly compelling. The timing alone sends shock waves through the astronomy community. Why now and why this object? Stay tuned because what happens next will blow your mind. If you are fascinated by the mystery of 3I-ATLAS and want to see more amazing cosmic stories, hit that like button and let the universe know you are watching. Every click helps keep the quest for the unknown alive. Comment below and let me know where you are watching this video from. I want to see what corners of the world are witnessing this along with me. At the same time, a new series of images of 3I-ATLAS began circulating, quickly attracting the attention of scientists and the observational community. The sharp high-contrast frames revealed a bright cloud with a distinct structure and unusual color patterns, creating a form far different from any natural ever recorded. 3I-ATLAS appeared larger and more vivid than the surrounding stars. And most notably, its shape changed subtly from frame to frame. The tail appeared asymmetrical, almost unstable, suggesting that some spiraling or shifting motion was taking place within the dust cloud. Even without knowing the origin of the images, the abnormality in the object's behavior was clear. The attention grew when Avi Loeb published even more stunning images in a Medium post. Multidirectional jets firing as if under control, sharp tails, and columnated columns of gas extending into space. These were not simulations or augmented images, but actual observations showing that 3I-ATLAS was not only powerful, but also incredibly strange. Each subsequent frame revealed a new layer of structure, making the object look more like a complex system of gas and dust, almost like a working machine than a vaporized block of ice. The combination of the enhanced SETI signal, the impending NASA announcement, and the increasingly inexplicable images has created a wave of intense speculation. 3I-ATLAS is challenging every conventional model from their morphology to their dynamics to their physical properties. And with each new piece of data, the question becomes more pressing. What is really going on out there in interstellar space? While NASA and other government agencies continue to remain silent on any questions about 3I-ATLAS's unusual behavior, that information gap has been quickly filled by another source. A community of independent astronomers across the United States. Unencumbered by approval cycles or lengthy publication processes, they observe the live continuously and without any withholding of results. Their stream of images posted as they are received without editing or delay has become the most up-to-date and detailed source of data about 3I-ATLAS as it changes nightly across the sky. These images reveal structures that if only official data were available, the public might have to wait weeks or months to see. And among these observations, one set of images in particular has caught the attention of experts and speculators alike. A sequence of frames that suggests 3I-ATLAS may be spinning unusually fast, seemingly changing direction in a matter of minutes. The phenomenon immediately became the focus of scientific forums in the US. Some researchers explained that the unusual rotation speed could be due to asymmetric jets from the outgassing. However, many independent analysts pointed out that the change in direction was too fast and too neat, more like a controlled reaction than a random eruption of ice and dust. This quickly fueled conspiracy theories, especially in an American public sensitive to anything related to government transparency. Some reputable media outlets began to ask if a network of amateur astronomers could record this strange behavior. NASA, with equipment hundreds of times more powerful, must have known about it long ago. So why did they remain silent? Some commentators on social media have gone further, suggesting that NASA's silence is not a lack of data, but rather a direction from above, especially given the recent closed-door meetings between Congress and the space agency that have never been publicly explained. Some U.S. media experts have suggested that the combination of independent observations, unusual signs of the, and NASA's delay is creating a whirlwind of information that has the same appeal as the announcement of Oumuamua in 2017, but this time with a much greater level of tension and doubt. While serious scientists remain cautious in their assessment, the series of images showing 3I-ATLAS's incredibly rapid rotation has planted another question in the minds of the American public. Is this still just a natural, or is something actually correcting its course in space? While NASA continues to remain silent, the independent observational community is emerging as the most reliable source of information, a situation unprecedented in the history of American astronomical research. The observer behind these remarkable images later explained in detail how he captured them. And what is astonishing is that the entire setup consisted of just a standard telescope and an RGB camera without any filters. He removed the standard IR-UV filter to preserve the subtleties of color in the dust clouds, trying to reproduce the 3I-ATLAS as faithfully as possible. Dozens of long exposure frames were stacked to reduce noise, and just enough sharpening was applied to highlight the structure without creating artifacts. A careful approach usually only seen in specialized labs. What's truly shocking is the sequence of images taken just minutes apart. 3I-ATLAS isn't static like a drifting. Its outline is constantly shifting, as if stretching and twisting slightly while dust streams bend and flare in new directions, suggesting complex dynamics. Brightness sloshes through the surrounding cloud in patterns too regular to be random. From this observer's perspective, the conclusion is clear. 3I-ATLAS is rotating probably counterclockwise and very fast. The speed at which the shape changed in just a few minutes has fueled a series of conspiracy theories among American astronomers. Many have questioned whether the unusual motion is the result of natural jets or the traces of an unknown control mechanism. Some forums have even discussed the possibility that 3I-ATLAS is self-correcting, a behavior not seen in natural. Despite the traditional experts' reservations, this series of images provides what NASA has been avoiding: visual evidence that 3I-ATLAS is operating in an organized and almost proactive manner. Given the U.S. Space A's continued silence, it is these independent and unassuming observations that are raising questions the scientific community cannot ignore. The ability of 3I-ATLAS to spin fast enough to change shape in minutes has profound scientific implications that are hard to ignore. Cometary nuclei typically take hours, even tens of hours, to complete a rotation. Even the fastest spinning nuclei ever recorded rarely undergo visible morphological changes in the space of a minute or two. If 3I-ATLAS is indeed spinning that fast, it means its jets may be sweeping through space like rotating jets, creating thin, sharply oriented and rapidly changing dust tails just as they appear in many recent images. This unusually rapid rotation also opens up more complicated physical scenarios. Centrifugal force could create high internal pressures, causing the outgassing rate to fluctuate wildly, even increasing the risk of fragmentation of the nucleus. Rather than being a sign of chaos, 3I-ATLAS's constant visual changes from changing colors to constantly shifting tails to asymmetrical jets could be entirely predictable consequences of an object spinning under the intense heat of the sunday. The independent observer who recorded the sequences acknowledged the limitations of his equipment and understood the risks of overinterpreting amateur data. However, the remarkable consistency of the frames taken just minutes apart made his conclusions difficult to dismiss. Given what he had seen, many American astronomers began to question whether 3I-ATLAS was simply a fast spinning or an object behaving according to principles that science had yet to grasp. These independent observations were not alone. Around the same time, Avi Loeb published a short but powerful article in which he compiled the clearest and most detailed images of 3I-ATLAS available to the public. Loeb did not offer hasty theories or bold speculations, instead letting the images tell the story. And just looking at them, anyone could see that this was completely different from the diffuse, soft-edged images usually associated with such objects. Instead of a hazy mass of gas, 3I-ATLAS appears as a complex structure of light with jets emanating from different regions of the surface. They branch in multiple directions, forming intersections and forks as if they were an orderly dynamic framework within the Most striking of all is the bold reverse tail which cuts across the frame and points directly toward the sun. A feature so rare that it almost defies all familiar models. Meanwhile, 3I-ATLAS's main tail extends into a narrow columnated column of gas, much more coherent and concentrated than the wide scattered tails of natural. These images don't just appear and then disappear. Over multiple exposures several days apart, the same series of strange features recur with remarkable consistency, suggesting that 3I-ATLAS either maintains its structure in harsh environments or rapidly rebuilds itself after each disturbance. This has made observers even more curious about the object's true nature. For an American public accustomed to fuzzy textbook illustrations of Loeb's images were a direct assault on intuition. Not only were they stunningly beautiful, but they also pose questions that challenged conventional wisdom. Was this simply a violent or a sophisticated structure operating on a mechanism unknown to science? And more importantly, were these orderly features the result of nature or the traces of something far beyond our current understanding? What makes Loeb's images stand out the most is the sense of purposefulness that 3I-ATLAS seems to convey. The jets that come from the don't look chaotic or random like typical outgassing. They look organized as if they're coming from distinct vents or defined areas of the surface rather than from a uniform outgoing plane. Some jets fan out like fan blades. Others are sharp as spears and all combine to form a network of bright filaments that crisscross the dust cloud, suggesting a sophisticated structure at work beneath the surface. Even without detailed analysis, the images convey a clear message. There is a powerful internal activity going on inside 3I-ATLAS. A system of thrusts, twists, counterforces, and interactions spinning around a nucleus that is changing at an astonishing rate. Loeb's decision to let the images speak for themselves rather than impose a single conclusion only adds to their appeal. The viewer gets the sense that 3I-ATLAS is not just bright but performing. Not just active, but structured. Not just but possibly something that requires a more sophisticated scientific model than any currently used to describe in the solar system. With NASA remaining silent and American public skepticism growing, this series of provocative images has made the 3I-ATLAS story harder than ever to ignore. Please like and subscribe channel.